after a thrilling Game 1 win opening day against the Cincinnati Reds, which saw the Giants have an explosive ninth inning. They came down to earth a little bit in the second game, losing by a single run, but they bounced back today to win it 6-3 and claim their first series victory of 2025. We're going to talk about the series and everything that went right and wrong for the Giants, and we're going to preview next series going against the Houston Astros. I'm your host, Darius Lott, and this is Second and King. Welcome to Second and King.
From high, it's a deep, it is out of here!
Your one-stop shop for everything San Francisco Giants.
And there's a shot, deep right field by Crawford. Adios, pelota!
And now, here's your host, Darius Lott.
Yeah!
Yes, sir. We are back for another edition of Second and King, and we are talking about another Giants win. The Giants take 2 of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds in the Great American Ballpark. A tough place to play, no doubt, and the Giants managed to take 2 of 3, taking their first series victory of 2025. This marks their first opening weekend series win since 2022. And their first series win on the road since 2018. I'll refresh some of you Giants fans' memory. That was the infamous opening day start for Ty Block after Bumgarner was out with injury. So he was tasked with dueling with Clayton Kershaw on opening day and did an admirable, that's such a hard word for me to say, admirable job against Clayton Kershaw. He out-dueled him. That was the infamous series where Joe Panic had 2 clutch home runs. He did so again in Game 1 against Clayton Kershaw, and then again in the late innings against Kenley Jansen in Game 2. Giants won both of those games 1-0 to take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers in that opening weekend series. So yeah, been a while since the Giants can start off on a high note, winning a series and winning on the road, no less. And they were tasked with doing so again in a very tough place to play in the, as they call it, Great American Small Park. It's a bandbox out there, but it didn't play like it in the third game. But the Giants were able to do what they had to do to leave Cincinnati for a win as they gear up now to head to Houston to play the Houston Astros. We'll preview a bit of that series in a bit, but let's talk about this series. So, as I mentioned, Game 1, Giants had the amazing come-from-behind win that saw them have a huge ninth inning, capped off by the big Wilmer Flores home run that saw them win the game 6-4. So that put them in a pretty good headspace. You know, the vibes were immaculate from there. Even though they struck out 17 times in that game, the bullpen kept them in it. And then they just clawed their way back into the game and eventually won it at the end there. So took the first game, but then the second game came around. This was the I just looked at my notes. I have it Justin Verlander making his Giants debut. He was pretty solid. He went 5 innings, 6 hits, did allow 2 earned runs, 1 on a solo home run, 1 walk, but struck out 5. He looked pretty good in his first appearance in a Giants uniform. And Wilmer Flores, he would go yard again in that second game, going 1 for 4 with a solo home run. Luis Matos got the start in right field. He would get a double and a single. Even got the start today, Sunday, against a righty. So some pretty good vote of confidence by Bomel putting him out there again. But unfortunately for the Giants, this game was not as fun as the first game. They would go a whopping 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. And more importantly, they grounded into 3 double plays that absolutely killed any momentum that they would have had trying to get back in this game. And they lost by 1 run. They lost by a score of 2-3 to the Reds, and the only run came off of a solo home run against Spencer Bivens. He went an inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run. That one coming off that home run, sadly. But the Giants just couldn't muster any offense, there. They were kind of held in check for the majority of the game. So they didn't strike out 17 times like they did in the first game. In fact, they only struck out once. The problem was, as I mentioned, they grounded into 3 double plays. They had a 2-0 lead at one point in the game, but they just couldn't hold it, unfortunately, and it kind of got away from them. Ellie De La Cruz single tied the game, and then Christian Encarnacion Strand homers off of Spencer Bivens to give the Reds a 3-2 lead that they would not relinquish from here on out. So, kind of disappointing following that amazing high that we had in the first game. So that evened the series, a game apiece, and the Giants wanted to get on the plane, head to Houston with some good vibes, and they needed a win here today. So they handed the ball to the left-hander Robbie Ray, and Robbie did an admirable job himself. He goes 5 1/3, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. The 2 runs came off of, you're not going to believe this. This is so Giants, by the way. The former Giant, Austin Wynns, goes yard with a 2-run shot off of Robbie Ray. That kind of broke the ice for the Reds. They were down 4-0 at one point. After the Giants scored a couple runs, they scored off of a Elliot Ramos solo shot, and then a Jung-Hoo Lee RBI double, followed by a 2-run blast from Matt Chapman that gave them a 4-0 lead. And Ray was cruising. Robbie was cruising for a bit there. He didn't allow much of anything through those first 4 innings. I would say, those first 5 innings. Held the Reds in check. He got behind a few hitters throughout the course of the game, but managed to hold the fort and didn't let it get out of control and get outs. So overall, a pretty quality start, I would say, by Robbie Ray. Just didn't end the way that he would have liked. There was a point after the Wynns home run. I believe it was the at-bat to Matt McClain of the Reds. He got called for a pitch clock violation, and that kind of stuck in his head for a little bit, kind of threw him off. And then I believe it was the very next pitch, or was it the Austin Wynns? I can't remember. It was the 6th inning was where it really things got away from Robbie. He was cruising. He was coming into was it the 6th inning? Sorry, I'm pulling it up. Yeah, bottom of the 6th inning, and he hadn't allowed a hit to that point. He was cruising, and then Gavin Lux, the former Dodger, because who else would show up to ruin the fun but a former Los Angeles Dodger? He singles, he breaks up the no-hitter, he ruins the vibes immediately. Robbie did get Blake Dunn to ground out, but then he gave up the shot to Austin Wynns, and then another very hittable pitch over the heart of the plate to Matt McClain for the second home run in that inning. And just like that, the Giants' 4-run lead evaporates immediately into a 1-run lead after right after they had just gotten it. They just gotten it to 4-0, and next thing you know, it's 4-3. So the Giants were already in a tough spot right there. But the bullpen, again, I want to shout them out because they did it again. They were a big part of why the Giants won this game. in this series alone, in 3 games, they pitched 10 and 2/3 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, and only allowed 2 walks. So gotta shout them out again. And this one was not easy for them. You know, they had a pretty uneventful day yesterday in Saturday's game, the game 2 loss, but it wasn't as comfortable this time around. They had a bit of a scare in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. In the 6th, Miller comes in to relieve Robbie Ray after he walks Santiago Espinal, and the crowd was getting on Robbie. They at one point after he had the pitch clock violation, they started counting down with the pitch clock, and then he walked the last batter, Espinal, and then Miller comes in. He allows a hit to Ellie De La Cruz, so that was 2 on with 1 out. And they had already put up some runs, did the Reds in that inning, and they were threatening for more. They could have easily tied or even gone ahead. Christian Encarnacion Strand coming up, they get him to ground into a double play that ends the inning and saves the Giants from that inning getting any worse than what it already was. Fast forward to the 7th inning, Lou Trevino comes in, his second time working this season, and he gets the first 2 batters, and then he kind of grooves a cutter that kind of catches the middle of the plate, and Gavin Lux hits a fly ball. I think it was like 101 off his bat. But today, the wind was blowing in to right, it was blowing out more towards left field, and it knocked that ball down right into the glove of Luis Matos. And if you watch the broadcast, there was this perfect shot of Trevino's face that he even knew he got away with one. So the Giants come away unscathed there. And then again, the Reds threaten more in the 8th inning. Tyler Rogers comes in. He allows a leadoff single followed by a walk. And then the runners advance to 2nd and 3rd on a Matt McClain ground out. Then something really amazing happens. Matt Chapman, I'm going to say something that's pretty controversial, but Matt Chapman is amazing on defense, in case you didn't know. And he showed it here because Rogers gets a ground ball of Santiago Espinal to the left side, and anything hit off of a Tyler Rogers pitch is anything but routine to any fielder. And so it goes to Chapman. He charges it. He goes to tag the runner Blake Dunn, who is called out of the baseline by the third base umpire. Chappie hears that, immediately exchanges the ball from his glove to his bare hand and fires a strike to first to complete a very tough double play that ends the inning and ends the scoring threat for Cincinnati. Another time where the Giants get saved, and again by Chapman. It was not the only time that Chapman saved them in this game. So yeah, the bullpen came in, got some help from the wind, and Matt Chapman on defense. So interesting stuff there. But going to the heroes with the bats in this game, the Giants, after going 1 for 5 the day prior, they would go 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position, much better than what they did. And they got it started a little bit earlier than they did, and they managed to avoid grounding into, multiple double plays. Actually, I think they did ground into multiple double plays in this game, but I don't think it killed them as much as the others did in the game prior. But overall, a strong performance for the Giants with the bat. Elliot Ramos, he's looking real good to start the year. He hit that incredible home run in game 1 off of Hunter Green after that 11 pitch at bat. Drives one the other way. Today, he gets a hold of one. It was a ball down low, and he golfed it and rode the wind for it to get out of here for a solo shot, his second of the year. And I jokingly said on Twitter, he's got just 28 more to 30, but the way he's looking right now, going to right, going to left, and with just easy power, it's looking more and more like a possibility that he could be the guy that ends the Giants drought of guys not hitting more than 30 home runs. He might be the one to do it, and he was my pick to do so. But yeah, he did it again. He homered, even hit a hard RBI single off the bat. That home run he hit in the top of the fifth was the first hit for the Giants. Nick Martinez and Robbie Ray were cruising early through this game without little resistance. So Elliot Ramos gets the scoring started like he did in game one and adds on with an RBI single to keep it going and help secure this Giants win. Even made a nice diving catch in the ninth for the second out, and he hit the ground hard that I held my breath, but he popped right up. It looked like we should have been more concerned for the grass than we were for Elliot Ramos on that one. Jung-Hoo Lee with another strong day. He goes 2 for 4 with an RBI double, knocking in Tyler Fitzgerald. Another 2-hit day for Jung-Hoo Lee. Looking pretty good early in that third spot, and using his speed as well in certain situations. Even had a stolen base yesterday. And then Tyler Fitzgerald had a day himself. He also went 2 for 4 with a double and a base knock. Scored twice today, even stole a base, and his stolen base came in a very crucial point in the game for the Giants. He had reached on an error in the 8th by Elly De La Cruz, and then the ball rolled all the way down the first base line, and he was able to get in the second very easily. And then he went and swiped third, which was a little bit risky, seeing as he was already in scoring position. But I kind of talked about how I wanted the Giants to press the issue on the base pass and kind of just be a bit more aggressive, especially with someone with Tyler Fitzgerald's speed. There was a point yesterday in the midst of the Giants grounding into double plays left and right that Tyler Fitzgerald was on, and at no point did Bob Melvin send him. And I believe that was when Wade was at bat, and he just grounded into a double play. And in a situation like that, you kind of want to stay out of that and keep the inning going and put some pressure on the defense, because now you would have had your fastest runner in scoring position had you sent him. But he went today. I don't know if that was his call or Bowmel's call. He was originally called out. They ran the replay a few times on the challenge. I wasn't sure. It didn't even look like he was tagged at any point. But you never know, you see one thing and then they see it another way in New York on the replay. But apparently they saw enough to rule him safe. So he's at third, and then Willy Adames drives him in on a sac fly. And both the Giants would score twice in that inning. They would score on the Willy Adames sac fly and on the Elliot Ramos RBI single. Both those runs were unearned, coming against former Giant and twin brother of Tyler, Taylor Rogers. So the Giants do some good things there on the bases with Tyler Fitzgerald, and it leads to a run, and it leads to multiple runs. So they kind of kept it going. I mentioned Matt Chapman, 1 for 3, 2-run home run, his only hit, but it was a big one. He also walked, so he reached twice in this game. Of course, I mentioned the big inning-ending double play he had in the 8th. He even had another one it wasn't a double play, but he had a nice play in the 6th inning on Blake Dunn ground out that he gloved a hard hit ball on the backhand and popped up and fired it to first. So I had to watch it on the replay because my TV just cut out right as it happened. That was before things kind of went south for Robbie Ray in that 6th inning. But another good outing for Chappie and the boys. This is what we wanted to see. This is what was absent in game 2, is situational hitting. This was something that they did very well throughout the course of spring. They were just getting better with battling, laying off pitches out of the zone, fighting off tough ones, and just finding a way to drive in runs any way they could. And that's something they're going to have to do for the remainder of the year if they want to continue to win ball games and contend for a playoff spot. If they can do that behind this solid starting rotation and this bullpen, I think the Giants can win a lot of games. They look to me like they can win anywhere from 86 to 89 games. And I know that's crazy, but seeing their projections that the Giants have been given prior to the 2025 season, I wasn't buying it. And I know a lot of that has to deal with what they did in 2024. They finished very disappointing with 80 and 82. They didn't have quite the rotation that they did have. At one point, they didn't even have a rotation at all. It was Logan Webb, and they would just occasionally throw out whoever in, the third game or whatever, and they would throw multiple games with openers, and just, it was a mess. But they don't have to hopefully worry about that, given what they have right now in the rotation, what they have in the bullpen, and all the depth that they have in the minors, with guys who could be called up at any point this year if there's poor performance or an injury. Don't want that, but they have themselves set up that if something happens, if someone goes down or someone's not performing well, they have guys waiting in the wings that can help. So, yeah, great stuff there on that front. I couldn't be happier with this win. Another interesting note, Camilo Doval came in the ninth for the save. No Ryan Walker. And we weren't sure why at the time. And it was funny because when the eighth is rolling around, I see Rogers up throwing in the pen. And I'm just thinking to myself, where is Camilo Doval? Because it was established pretty early in spring that Camilo Doval was going to set up Ryan Walker. But we would go to find out that Ryan Walker was dealing with some back tightness. And they decided, even though it wasn't pressing, they would just hold him out, give him a day, and go with Camilo Doval in the ninth. And he pitched a scoreless inning, didn't allow a hit, and struck out Elly De La Cruz and converted the save. So he looked good, which is always great for the Giants, because if Camilo Doval, along with Ryan Walker, Tyler Rogers, Eric Miller, Randy Rodriguez, and the list of arms that they have in that bullpen are going well, again, much like I said about the rotation, the situational hitting, the Giants have the opportunity to shock a lot of people and prove a lot of people wrong and win a lot of games and even contend for one of those wild card spots. Who knows? If they play well enough, you never know. I know it's kind of out of the way to say division, but 2021, they weren't the greatest team on paper ever, and they somehow managed to win 107 games. I know that's a long odds of that happening again, but if you look at this team and you look at that team, you could argue that this 2025 team is better on paper than that 2021 team. But, we will see. It's baseball. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We still got a long way to go before we start talking about playoffs, but this is a good start. You want to win series. And the Giants last year didn't do enough of that. They didn't win enough series. They didn't win enough close games. And they didn't win enough games where they had the opportunity to win. So this is huge. It's a good starting block for this team. They're continuing this opening road trip on the year. They're heading to Houston, which is another tough place to play against another tough opponent. Astros just came off of winning 2 of 3 at home against the New York Mets. So the Giants need to be ready to play again on the road. And we're going to preview what they got going into this series The rotation looks as follows. It'll be Jordan Hicks in Game 1, making his 2025 debut against the right-hander Ronel Blanco of the Houston Astros. Game 2, Webby will get his second start against Hayden Wesneski of the Astros. He's also a right-hander. And then Game 3, Landon Roop gets the ball for his debut. He will face against the Astros ace, Framber Valdez, the left-hander. And then after that, they get a day off Thursday, and they're back home April 4th for their home opener. And I will be actually at the ballpark Saturday, April 5th for the day after. I'm going to get my hands on one of those sweet Gold Glove Matt Chapman bobbleheads that they're going to be handing out. So I look forward to coming back to the yard. It's been so long. Like, there's nothing like going to a ball game in San Francisco, going to see the Giants play. Always a good time, always great atmosphere, and I can't wait, especially this year, because it looks like it's going to be so much fun. Like, the vibes for the fans it's reflective of the vibes of the team, and I love that. And that's when Giants baseball is at its best, man. When the team is vibing, the fans start vibing, and the city is just a completely different beast around that time. So I can't wait for more. I look forward to seeing them again tomorrow. Hopefully they can build off this series win in Cincinnati going into Houston. But that's all the time I got for this. That was all I really wanted to say. Again, happy for the win. Looking forward to more. I am your host, Darius Lott. Please, if you like the video, if you listen on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you haven't. For my listeners on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, do me a favor, if you would, please leave a rating and review. It helps me out immensely. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you as always for listening. I'm your host, Darius Lott, and this has been Second and King. And as always, go Giants.